whereas on February 25th, 1951, the city of Wilkes Barre hosted what is believed to be the first jazz festival in the nation, when 8 groups gathered at the hotels Hart and Reddington for the Cavalcade of Dixieland and Jazz. Whereas today, February 25th, 2011, the city of Wilkes-Barre is proud to commemorate the 60th anniversary of this historic event with a concert at Downtown Arts. This event is one of many recognizing the importance of Wilkes-Barre and the greater region of northeastern Pennsylvania in the history of American music, and in particular, jazz and swing. This celebration is a moment in time to reflect on the memories of our rich culture and artistic heritage, the opportunities of the present, and our belief in the future. Whereas the city of Wilkes-Barre, along with the organizers of this event, is proud to honor this heritage, and now therefore resolved that I, Thomas M. Layton, do hereby proclaim February 25th, 2011 as a day to celebrate the Cavalcade of Jazz and Music.
Started back in 1951 when Lee Vincent and Huey Riddell actually were instrumental in bringing the first jazz group concert to Wilkes-Barre Festival, I should say. I think it most likely gave rise to the Newport Jazz Festival, because I remember Lee telling me, I didn't join Lee's band until maybe 4 or 5 years after. When I joined his band, he used to always tell me about this Cavalcade, this first jazz festival. Matter of fact, you know, there's a plaque on Public Square listing Lee Vincent and Huey Riddell, who was instrumental in bringing this thing about. But they brought jazz groups in from out of town, Dixieland Jazz and so on. First concerts were actually held at the old Hotel Reddington, which is now Genetti's on Market Street, and across the street was the Hotel Hart. I think there were a few other places, but I don't recall. But those 2 places were the main places. Of course, their menus were geared to the menus like you'd have in New Orleans, because they did have a lot of Dixieland jazz groups there. As far as I know, I joined Lee's band about 4 or 5 years later. Well, Wilkes-Barre was, I'll tell you, every night, almost every night in a week, you could go somewhere and hear a jazz group or a Dixieland group. I started with Bobby Baird back in 1952, 53. We were at the Continental Inn every Thursday night was Dixieland Jazz. We used to pack the place. Of course, there's places like Page 3 and there's the Ovalon, and everybody had a jazz group going. It sort of did give rise. And no matter what you wanted to do, whatever kind of music you wanted, there was a place that had it. We had a lot of parades, jazz concerts, even some of the smaller groups. You take like on Fat Tuesday, that was a Dixieland jazz night. There was no such thing as guitars or anything like that. Like they have now, they call it Mardi Gras night, and there's no Dixieland band. You've got to have a Dixieland band. That's what Satchmo did, that's what Kid Ory, Jelly Roll Morton, all these fellas down in New Orleans, that was a big thing. So Lee and Huey Riddell brought these jazz people in with the band to play with the band, and it was a fantastic night. I was only sorry that I wasn't a little older to be able to play with it, but some of Lee's men did play on that night. Well, that's what gave rise to the solo playing. We copied a lot of their styles, whether it was Benny Goodman or was Woody Herman or Pete Fowler or Al Hurd or any of those. They were all great. And they grew up in New Orleans. And so a lot of the guys who are here tonight, we play a lot of the styles that we copied. And those styles influenced us to develop our own style. I'm in the business over 60 years, and I can go back. I can relate to all these things. We played with a lot of the big bands. A lot of them came from out of town. Oh, yes. A lot of them came from out of town.
When I think about 60 years have passed, and I was 13 years old, there were a number of musicians playing the Cavalcade and that festival. our area here has produced a lot of great musicians, a lot of talent. And going back to that period of time, some of the greatest talent that was coming out of this area. Pennsylvania is a great state for producing a lot of the artists. This is, of course, true of theater and true of dance and true of every aspect that we have in the arts. And I'm speaking in the field of music. As far as the festival is concerned, when I was 13, I was introduced to Sonny Greer, and he at that time was with the Duke Ellington Band. Very fine musician, and of course I was awed by it. I thought it was very interesting to meet somebody of that stature. There's a few other guys from the Ellington Band, but I don't remember it. I sort of just connected with Sonny Greer, and that was it. I didn't think about who else was there. And I called two of my friends who worked at same time for that early festival. One lives in Skaneateles, New York. It's right near Syracuse. And the other one lives in Tampa, Florida. And I called them. I said, "You guys going to come up and do this thing?" And they couldn't. And the third one, who lives outside of New York, is a very well-known musician. His name is Tony Studd. If you pick up any jazz album, he's either composed the album or he's playing on the album. A trombone player. The other one was Louis Savory, who was a trumpet player, and Nick Palumbo was the clarinet player. The oldest kid was 15, and I was 13, and there was one younger than me, 12 years old. And we adapted very well. We learned to listen to their styles at that particular time. We listened to what they were doing. And of course, we were cognizant of the fact that this represented a peak or a height that we might have in the performing art of our interest. I'm sure that there was that kind of influence infecting all of us in certain ways. And so we obviously may have adapted some of it or copied it or at least stole a lick or two or whatever you might say. And we learned a great deal from the older guys. In fact, all my friends when I was a kid were always older people. This was natural. This is a natural thing. There's no dichotomy in regards to this level of education or age and this age down here. We seem to amalgamate ourselves and get together very easily, and in order to produce the music.
Put your hands together for Bobby Baird. Put your hands together for Frank Caskey. The great Jimmy Salengo on the keyboards. Gino Marcnko, look at the front of his bass drum. Gino Marcnko around the drums. And then of course playing the role of the great Lee Vincent, Mr. Doug Smythe at the bass. Doug Smythe.
It's a Louis Armstrong tune. That's Bobby Baird on trumpet and Sleepy Time Down South.